Welcome back to Fog Recapped. Today I'm going to explain the movie Finch. The story begins in a future world that has been now completely devastated and ruined. Actually, it was about 15 years ago when a very large solar flare collided with the Earth, which resulted in the destruction of the Earth's ozone layer. As a result, the entire Earth became barren and lifeless. Afterward, only a few people remained on Earth, and those who survived were struggling hard to stay alive. Due to the depletion of the ozone layer, the Earth is now exposed to an increased amount of harmful UV rays, which have spread across the planet. These UV rays pose a significant danger to humans, as they can be extremely harmful to their health and well-being. Furthermore, the temperature on Earth now hovers around 150 degrees, making it nearly impossible for any person to venture out in the sunlight without proper protection. Not only that, but the Earth also experiences frequent and massive storms that ravage the land. In one such storm, we come across a man named Finch. To protect himself from the harmful UV rays and extreme temperatures, Finch wears a specialized suit and helmet. He goes to the supermarket in search of food supplies accompanied by his robot companion named Devi. At the supermarket, Finch comes across numerous lifeless bodies of people who did not survive the harsh conditions. Both Finch and his robot collect items from the supermarket. Finch manages to find dog food, which he takes with him before leaving the premises. As Finch sets out from the supermarket to another destination, he encounters a massive storm along the way. Faced with the intensity of the tempest, he is compelled to seek refuge and hastily returns to his home. Back at his home, Finch tends to himself, cleansing his body, and it becomes apparent that Finch is quite ill. It is revealed that he is suffering from tuberculosis, a debilitating disease, and he is slowly dying. Afterward, he reunites with his beloved dog, Goodyear, whom he deeply loves. He feeds Goodyear, serving him a meal that he found in the supermarket. Finch is a robotic engineer, which is why he creates an advanced human-like robot, so that after his death, the robot can take care of his dog. He gathers data from numerous books and transfers the information into the memory of the robot. Finch programmed the robot with a total of 4 instructions. The first instruction was that the robot should never harm humans. Additionally, the 4th instruction was for the robot to take care of the dog in Finch's absence. During the data transfer process, the electricity suddenly goes out, leaving the surroundings in complete darkness. As Finch heads toward the electrical source to restore the lights, he discovers an immense storm directly advancing toward him. He realizes that this storm is forecasted to last for 40 days, which leads him to make the decision to travel from his current location to San Francisco, because he is running out of food supplies. However, only 72% of the data had been transferred to the robot, which meant that it still required training to enhance its mental capacity. Despite the adverse circumstances, Finch teaches the robot how to walk and function properly. Once the robot learns to walk, Finch gathers all the necessary supplies and sets off on his journey from there. Finch possesses a van that is specially designed to provide protection against UV rays and extreme temperatures. With his dog and 2 robots, he embarks on his journey, safely sheltered within the van. Finch's new robot curiously asks many questions, and Finch answers all of them. Additionally, Finch continues to teach the robot new things along the way. As they continue their journey, they come across a city. Finch puts on his suit and helmet and steps outside because he was looking for food there. As they enter a theater, they come across some popcorn. When they step outside into the scorching sunlight, Finch places the popcorn on a plate, and they immediately melt. Now we can understand that the temperature on Earth is incredibly high under the sun. Just then, they notice an approaching storm heading towards them, prompting Finch to quickly get back into the van. However, the storm rapidly advances, and Finch realizes that they cannot escape its destructive path. So they come to a stop with their van. They drive stakes into the ground around the van and secure it with cables. When the storm reaches them, the van starts floating in the turbulent winds of the tempest. And in the midst of the storm, there is a substantial amount of debris that damages multiple cables, causing them to break. However, by sheer luck, their van manages to remain anchored to one single cable, preventing it from being swept away. After the storm passes, Finch observes that the cable that kept their van secure during the tempest was the robot's doing. Upon discovering this, Finch experiences a deep sense of pride. However, his attention swiftly shifts as he notices that one of the van's tires has burst. Now, they search for a spare tire, but unfortunately, they do not have a jack to change the tire. In that situation, the robot steps in and lifts the entire van with its hands, allowing Finch to change the tire. Filled with joy, Finch expresses his desire to give the robot a name. However, he is not pleased when the robot suggests the name William Shakespeare. Determined to find a more suitable name, Finch takes matters into his own hands and selects the name Jeff as the robot's new identity. The robot, now named Jeff, tells Finch that from now on, he should address me as Jeff. The next morning, when Finch wakes up, he finds his dog barking at Jeff, who is imitating the dog's behavior. Jeff informs Finch that he has been attempting to communicate with the dog, but feels that the dog does not like him at all. At that moment, Finch tells Jeff that it will take some time for both of them to become comfortable with each other. As they continue their journey, while Finch is driving, he suddenly starts feeling unwell, and his condition worsens as his nose starts bleeding. Seeing this, Jeff offers to take over the driving so that Finch can rest. However, Finch is aware that Jeff has recently learned how to drive and is not yet capable of handling the task. Therefore, he decides not to let Jeff drive and pulls the car over to a nearby spot. Finch enters the home to take some rest, and in his absence, Jeff, out of curiosity, starts the van and accidentally crashes into another car. Upon witnessing this, Finch comes out and advises Jeff that he is not yet ready to drive. Finch instructs Jeff to bring his UV suit and helmet to him. However, instead of retrieving his belongings, Jeff reverses the van, instructs Jeff to bring his UV suit and helmet to him. Jeff reverses the van completely and unintentionally collides with the home once again. Upon seeing this, Finch gets angry and extends his hand into the sunlight, causing it to burn. Actually, he wanted to show Jeff that he couldn't go outside in the sun. He tells Jeff that he was created only for the purpose of taking care of the dog, and he expects him to do his job. Actually, when Jeff was created, only 72% of the data was transferred, so he didn't have complete knowledge about things. In this way, Jeff's curious behavior sometimes pleased Finch and sometimes made him upset. Now, Finch moves forward, and he allows Jeff to drive the van. Jeff learns how to drive, which brings a lot of joy to Finch. As they continue their journey, evening falls, and they stop at a place to spend the night. And when Finch and Jeff are sitting around a lit fire, Jeff asks why they always travel during the day and not at night when Finch can be outside without a suit. Then Finch explains that there is a danger from other people at night. During the day, those people cannot go out due to the harsh sunlight and UV rays, so they stay hidden in the shade. But as soon as night falls, they come out and kill those people, stealing their belongings. That is why they avoid traveling at night. After a while, Finch goes to sleep, but his condition worsens as morning arrives. Jeff asks how he can help, to which Finch tells him to call a doctor. Finch was trying to explain to Jeff that only a doctor can provide the necessary assistance. Hearing this, Jeff places a damp cloth on Finch's head, providing him with some relief. Now Jeff takes the van and leaves from there. He knows that Finch's condition is critical, and he needs a doctor. That's why he stops the van in the next town. He sees that Finch is sleeping, so he goes out with Davy. He wants to find medicines for Finch, so he goes to a hospital and starts looking for the medicines. That's when Finch wakes up from his sleep. And when he wakes up, Jeff is not there, so he puts on his suit and helmet and goes to look for him. Here, Davy sees a food packet at a certain place, and right there, a bear trap is set. As soon as Davy goes to take that packet, he gets caught in the bear trap, and it breaks into pieces. Upon hearing his voice, Finch approaches him, and seeing Davy, he becomes very sad, because Davy was not just a machine, but a part of his family. Along with that, he understands upon seeing the trap that this could be the work of looters, so he immediately goes to Jeff and explains to him that there are looters here, and we are in danger. That's why both of them start running away from there and leave with their van. But at that moment, Finch sees that someone is following them. So Finch turns off the van lights because Jeff could see in the dark as well. Along with that, Finch tells Jeff to drive the van faster, but yet the car was still following them. At that moment, they come across a flyover, and Finch tells Jeff to take the car under the flyover to escape from the person's sight. But Jeff stops the car and explains that the bridge is lower and our car won't be able to pass underneath it. But Finch forcefully accelerates the car, which causes the solar panels on the roof to break. Jeff pushes the car and takes it under the bridge, and the car drives away without them being seen. Seeing this, Finch loses hope and starts to give up. But then Jeff boosts his morale and says, "Finch, you cannot give up. I have complete faith in you." But Finch was angry at that moment and says hurtful things to Jeff, but soon he regrets his words. Finch tells Jeff that when the apocalypse started, many people thought it would end soon and everything would return to normal. So, they hid in their homes. But there were some who knew what was coming next, so they started gathering essential supplies to survive. I was one of those people too. One day, when I went to a mall, I saw a girl who was around 9 or 10 years old. Her mother was with her too. The girl had a gun with her, and I overheard her mother saying that if anyone is seen, she should shoot them. That's why I didn't approach them, because people at that time would kill anyone for food. I hid instead because I knew that if I approached them, the girl would shoot me. But then a man arrived, and he snatched their food supplies and shot them instead. When the man left, I approached the girl. By that time, a lot of time had passed, but then my eyes fell on her bag, which was trembling. When I opened the bag, a tiny puppy came out, scared and trembling. I decided to keep the puppy with me, and since then, it has been by my side till today. As morning arrived, Jeff took the van and left from there. On the way, he was looking at the postcards that Finch always kept with him. Finch had once told him that these postcards were given to him by his uncle, but as Jeff turned them around, he realized that these postcards were not given by his uncle, but by his dad. Suddenly, a butterfly collides with the windshield of the van, and Jeff immediately wakes Finch up. When Finch sees the butterfly, he can't believe his eyes because he knew that no living creature could survive in the scorching sun. He extends his hand outside, and this time his hand doesn't burn at all. The environmental conditions on Earth were changing. The ozone layer that had previously depleted was now repairing itself, allowing life to flourish once again. After 15 years, today was the first time he stepped outside without wearing a suit, experiencing the warmth of the sunlight. Upon seeing this, he becomes very happy, and the next day he wears a suit, which he had carefully preserved for years. Jeff asks Finch why he had mentioned that the postcards were given to him by his uncle, when they were actually signed by his dad. Finch explains that his dad had given him those postcards. That was the time when I was born. After my birth, my dad joined the army, and he was always on the move, constantly traveling. We had no contact with each other, and we never met. But when my 5th birthday arrived, he sent me this postcard as a gift, with a message written on it that we would definitely meet one day. That's why I had this fancy suit made so that I could impress him, but unfortunately we still haven't met. However, my lifelong dream has always been to see the Golden Bridge once, because when you stand on it and look at the world around you and listen to the winds blowing there, it feels like there's a sweet melody playing in the air. I regret not taking the opportunity to see it when I had the time, and now I want to see it, but I don't have much time left. Jeff suggests that we can go there now since San Francisco isn't far away. However, Finch reveals that he is dying and doesn't have much time left. He asks Jeff to promise him that he will take care of the dog after he's gone. Jeff promises to Finch. When Finch sees Jeff playing with his dog, he becomes very happy. However, Finch's condition worsens, and he starts bleeding from his mouth. His illness was now becoming fatal. Jeff takes him towards his van, and in an emotional moment, Jeff hugs Finch tightly. Afterward, Finch gets into the van and places his final hand gesture on his dog before passing away. And then he passes away. Jeff sets fire to his body and leaves from there the next morning. He took good care of the dog, feeding him as Finch had instructed. When they are on the road, they see that the environment on Earth has returned to normal, and the Earth has become lush and green once again. The two of them reach the Golden Bridge, where Jeff places their pictures and sets off in search of other people. And here, their story comes to an end. While cherishing the moments they spent together, they move forward, carrying the memories of Finch in their hearts. So, that was from Movie. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe my channel. Your support will motivate us to do work to entertain you.